Hi everyone and welcome. Today I'm going to be speaking about this upcoming full moon in the sign of Capricorn taking place on the 24th of June 2021 at approximately 3 degrees and 27 minutes of the sign of Capricorn. So it is very likely to have a more predominant effect in the area of your life where this 3 degrees of Capricorn falls into. And of course, if you happen to have any planets or significant astrological markings around 3 degrees of Capricorn, well, it can affect you that much more. Now, before I get into the analysis of this full moon, I must mention that even though this is not an eclipse, it is still an extremely karmic and very powerful karmic balance and justice and righteousness, if this makes sense, oriented full moon, because on one hand we are still just freshly out of eclipse season. In June we had a really potent solar eclipse in Gemini on the 10th of June, and before that at the very end of May we had a total lunar eclipse in Sagittarius. So the karmic nuance of these two energies is not gonna dissipate instantly, if this makes sense. So we are still really heavily under the influence of the eclipses. And on the other hand, we just had summer solstice. So that is a very strong and significant, not just astrological period, but even generally it closes the cycle of spring and it opens up a new cycle of summer. So of course the veil between the worlds is especially thin, and this just adds to the intensity of this full moon. There are other nuances, other astrological energies which make this full moon karmic, but from a, let's say, different kind of perspective. And one of these is the conversation that the full moon has with Jupiter in the sign of Pisces, going retrograde at the time of the full moon. And Jupiter is a planet which governs justice, yes, in a rather subjective way, which can also represent divine justice, especially in the very karmic sign of Pisces, where Jupiter is also the ancient ruling planet of this sign. And of course, Jupiter retrograde in the sign of Pisces also represents truth. Yes, it is subjective truth, but the area of Pisces, karma, destiny, everything that is in our unconscious, well, that is subjective in nature anyway. So this basically amplifies the revelatory qualities of the full moon, because any full moon, regardless of which part of the sky it takes place in, it has also a lot to do with revelation, shedding light on something, clarity, secrets coming out, sudden realizations, let's say epiphanies, soul level alignment, where we kind of resonate with a truth, with something that is being revealed to us. And also Mercury going direct at the time of the full moon. Well, Mercury is the planet of communication. It is thought processes, the flow of information, the circulation of documents, transactions, connections, regardless in which area, over the internet, correspondence, and even fated connections, because Mercury does have to be in, let's say, either an empowered position or a very debilitated position for fated connections to take place in a very significant way. When it's debilitated, it might be a massive breakdown of communication or a misinterpretation or anything more negative which will transform a connection, a relationship, a communication. Or when it is extremely empowered, well, that is when solutions, the positive good news, for example, clarity, understanding, being able to clearly know our options, etc. That is when the more positive expressions of fated connections enter our lives. So basically all of these energies, all of these different karmic nuances are going to be part of this full moon. And because it takes place in the earthly sign of Capricorn, well, chances are whatever this full moon conjures up, may it be a simple revelation, an information reaching us being able to see, feel, and interpret things more clearly, well, it will affect us materially, maybe financially, maybe lucratively, maybe our professional relationship, that much more. But of course, as I said earlier, it really depends on where 3 degrees of Capricorn falls into your own personal chart. Of course, there are certain collective influences that any full moon can produce, so this Capricorn full moon is not going to be any different. Quite the contrary. Capricorn is a very down-to-earth, realistic, tactical, and extremely resilient sign. And you know, resilience also involves for a person to be able to view a situation in a very realistic way, even if the realism is against certain highest principles, etc. Resilience, practicality, you know, just take a look at the glyph of Capricorn. It represents the mountain goat, which also has a tail, a fish tail. So the symbolism is very suggestive that Capricorn can climb both the mountain, regardless of how tall, how hard to navigate the mountain is, but at the same time it can also traverse any body of water, ocean, river, regardless. It is simply made to be a survivor, to be efficient, to make progress in whatever and with whatever it needs. And it is also the ruler of the 10th astrological house, the midheaven. So basically, it also symbolizes what many of us have to do with our life path. You know, sometimes we have to climb a mountain to reach the top. Other times we just have to endure waters, emotional instability, let's say. Or other times we have to embody patience when, you know, we have to cross an ocean. It won't be in 2 days or in a week. We will just have to keep on going and swimming and not drowning. But of course, in the knowledge that it's not gonna take a very short time, neither is anything going to just catapult us to the other side of the ocean. So basically that is the energy of realism. To know what our chances are, to be basically grounded mentally, intellectually, even emotionally, and of course spiritually as well, in realism. Realism is not basically an enemy of anything spiritual or anything dreamy, positive, hopeful, optimistic. Because of course it is our dreams and aspirations, our principles, our ideals which catapult us, which keep us going, which motivate us, which make us distinctive and unique. But those are basically inner forces, and Capricorn is made to navigate in the exterior world and to resist against the challenge of the elements. So this will be one expression of this Capricorn full moon, at least the spiritual lesson, the karmic lesson that all of us collectively and individually alike will have to process. And this is that very many times, you know, the moon in Capricorn, the moon is our emotion, it is our soul, it is also our spirit. You know, when the spirit, the soul, and everything that makes us who we are, our emotions, exist here in an embodied state. So we are physical beings and we live in a physical world. We live in society, which may not be physical, but it has rules, regulations, structures. So it does represent physicality. It does function, based on principles, logic, rationality. It does make sense. And this is what makes it, part of the physical realm. So all of us have to find our powers, our means, our resourcefulness, even our inner motivation, and make it support us in a way that we can use them to navigate quite physically in life. May it be materially speaking, livelihood, career, job, social connections, relationships, our home. It doesn't matter which area of life. But we must not allow basically our spiritual energies, our principles, our optimism, our faith, everything that Neptune represents, to be an enemy of the world. But rather we must make sure that even if those two don't match, in the sense that maybe our hopes and dreams of our spirituality, our aspirations are not basically material, are way above the material world and how the material world functions, there is absolutely no problem with that, because the two energies are totally different in nature. So there has to be a massive difference, even a certain kind of contradiction between the two. Give to the Caesar what is rightfully the Caesar's, and the Christ what is the Christ's. Or let's say a different example. One cannot serve the divine and mammon at the same time. So this is where basically Pisces is so very, very different to Capricorn. But contradiction is one thing, because contradiction just highlights the importance of both of these energies, both of these areas of life, if you want to see it this way. But one to be an enemy, one to battle the other, is a totally different thing. When there is battle, conflict, and severe disharmony in the picture, well, then a person will use the spiritual energies to somehow transform, to deconstruct that which they see as a challenge. So Capricorn, society, social structures, the material element, so to speak, the earthly, the mundane, of course the imperfect, that which may not really respect and reflect at the same time the higher spiritual values, philosophies, wisdom, unconditional love, everything that is basically part of spirituality. Yet, if we use all of these to attack the other, as in to change it forcefully, that will never ever result in anything positive. Yet if we stand from a place of acceptance and adapt ourselves in such a way that even if there is a contradiction between the two, we kind of respect both. We kind of know that it doesn't matter who we are spiritually, we still have no right to change that which humanity constructed in thousands of years society, let's say, the customs, rules, regulations, the way the physical, material, social, governmental, name it whatever you want, side of the world functions. Because if we want to change it, we have to change it in its own terms. So materially, physically, maybe going to a court of justice, petition, social movement, we have to be game players. We cannot use spiritual energy to bully matter and that which we ourselves have not really constructed, or maybe throughout our lifetimes, our existences, maybe we played a very small part in this. So do we have a right to try and dominate matter with our spiritual powers, mind over matter, soul, emotion over matter, our alchemy, our manifestation techniques, our visualization, or call it whatever you want? So this will be a massive, let's say, karmic revelation and lesson of this full moon, that we have to respect the divine for what it is, but at the same time the earthly for what it is, for what it represents, because it doesn't matter if it's right or wrong, just or unjust. Basically, humanity constructed that, so it is the reflection of how humanity over the course of period envisaged a society that should function. So if anything, that is like a manifestation of the species way of imagining the well-functioning of society, of the world and everything in it. And of course there is a big question mark. Nothing can take place without the permission and the express guidance, if this makes sense, of the divine architecture of the karmic forces. So what we have today is not just our own construct, but it's also a co-creation, as above so below. So why is the injustice there? Why are all the faults here? Well, it's simple, because they reflect that which we are as well. We are also greedy, we're also unfair, we're also quite dominant individually, even on a soul level, as a human being. So all of those energies and the expression of those energies have to be part of our world, of our reality, of our everyday life. That will only change if our nature changes. It evolves, or it, harmonizes over the course of thousands of years. So this Capricorn full moon will kind of be like an alarm bell, teaching us spiritually as well that we have to respect how the material reality is. And if we want to change it, transform it, upgrade it, beautify it, whatever, we have to do it on life's and physical reality's terms, and not our, let's say, amplified spiritual terms. Spirit is spirit, and it doesn't really belong in the material plane to be a dominant force directly. Of course, it is in the background, in the shadow of everything naturally. Yet here on earth, it is the physical element, or perhaps the intellectual and emotional element, the God and the divine manifested, which has to have the final word. And this applies perfectly in every area of our lives as well. Because, what collectively is the world, society, the structures which hold human civilization together, as in Capricorn, in our individual lives, those are our own inner structures, our principles, our customs, our routines, our life experience, our knowledge, everything that we learn to master. So the lesson individually, regardless of which area of life it takes place in, you can change, you can readapt your life, you can make it reflect who it is that you are, but on life's terms. Now, of course, if you are like the archetype of the alchemist or magician, a soul who has been doing this kind of work for who knows how many lifetimes, now of course things are gonna be a little bit different for you, because you are the embodiment of the spirit. But for someone who takes spirituality much more lightly, even if you are the most spiritual person in existence, if your soul doesn't have that strong power and experience of many, many lifetimes, well, chances are you will have to do things in life's terms. What is possible in life according to physical reality. So, how many social connections you have in your life, what kind of work have you done in this lifetime, what basically have you done with yourself, with your life, etc. So basically down to earth things. Of course, positivity, optimism, a self-empowered mindset, ideals of justice, love, fairness and dignity, will help you massively, and they will give you an inner strength to accomplish everything that you want, and it will also make you extremely magnetic, even karmically, yet it will still unfold, in life's terms and not anything else. And this is why this energy can be very, very disappointing spiritually for a lot of people, because it will totally go against fantasies, certain expectations and worldviews, or what we may feel and think about ourselves that we may have when we're up in the clouds, so to speak, when we are really carried away by philosophies, by the spirit, by meditation, altered state of consciousness. We may, in that state, genuinely feel that we're able to do anything, that there is no limits, there is no bounds, mind over matter, we can manifest everything. And yes, that is not incorrect, but neither is it easy, neither is it for everyone, neither is it something that we accomplish in 15 minutes, but rather in years and years of hard work, focusing, practice, and obsessively planting those seeds of intentions. So basically this is gonna be a very special karmic lesson of this full moon, that even spiritually everything takes sacrifice, time, blood, sweat and tears, and pain, of course, and there is no way around this. There is no shortcut, there is no simplified way of obtaining something highly spiritual in order to exist in matter. Saturn, regardless in which day and age we live, it will never ever be easy, because it would defeat the whole goal of an earthly existence. It has to be hard, it has to be challenging, it has to be painful, and the greatest reward of spiritual evolution, ascendance, is not going to be power or influence as many people expect. It's just going to be the simple ability to see through the illusion of life, of existence, of everything basically. Because the divine is absolute, and the divine truth is absolute and 1,000,000% objective only in the highest divine sphere. In anything else, it has to be subjective. A lot of different things, even if they're total dichotomies and contradictions to each other, can be valid, can be truthful, can exist at the same time. If we live in a multi-dimensional universe, well, you can imagine that everything a being can think of is gonna be real in one way or another, but at the same time, it's never gonna be real 100%. So this energy is gonna disappoint a lot of people from a spiritual perspective, because it will very quickly, almost suddenly, shatter fantasies. It's gonna shatter personal illusions. It is gonna shatter the expectation that things are gonna be easy, because they will definitely not. But of course, this can play out in a totally different way, where maybe a lot of people have invested a lot of effort, work, sacrifice into anything that they wanted to accomplish, and perhaps they weren't very successful in the sense that physical reality just didn't react to their efforts, and that is when karmic justice can come into play, because effort, power, intention, and basically the endurance that one needed to show is energy that exists in the universe, so that is not going anywhere, and that has to manifest one way or another, even if it's not the way it was intended, as in, let's say, material success, money, prosperity. It still has to enter your life one way or another, because energy is not going anywhere. It will just find another way, another path, another opening to just come into your life. So for a lot of people, this can be quite a pleasant, surprise, where they can see that divine justice is very real, and nothing that one sacrifices, no work, no effort, is in vain ever, because even when, as I said, maybe physical reality is not reactive to it, the divine can just find another way to bring that into your life, even if is not what you expected or desired. But chances are, for many people, it's not gonna be a very easy energy, and not necessarily because of the aspect of this full moon, because the aspects that the moon and the sun are involved in are quite harmonious and absolutely beautiful. The sun holds a trine with Jupiter. A trine is a celestial conversation of supreme harmony. So that means the truth, revelations, epiphanies, divine inspiration, unconditional love, being able to heal the past, dissolve traumas, come to terms with perhaps painful events that have happened in your past when you were hurt or disempowered emotionally, etc. So that is a beautiful healing energy of care, kindness, empathy, unconditional love. And Jupiter also holds a sextile with the moon in Capricorn, and that is basically manifestation based on your mindset, based on what you're thinking, your frequency, etc. So this in itself is very positive, it is very uplifting, it is quite easy in the sense that it is something where karma might want to lead us to harvest the fruits of our labor or to get into a better position. Yet there is a very strong, chaotic, conflictual, tensionate energy happening at the time of the full moon, where we have a T-square, where Uranus in Taurus is squared by Saturn and Mars, and Saturn and Mars hold an opposition. Saturn was considered by the ancients as the planet of malevolence, and Mars was the lower planet of malevolence. So whenever they have a conversation, especially of tension, well, that means chaos, that means unfortunate events can happen, that means temptations, mistakes. It is the shadow, basically. And Mars is extremely powerful in the sign of Leo. It is courage, but in a very assertive way. And I'm really sorry to say this, but in a violent way, where, you know, someone's will, someone's self-expression comes through very violently, very abruptly, very barbarically, so to speak. And this can also represent reacting to whatever is going on in your life, the tension, the chaos. And this chaos and tension is definitely going to be felt collectively as well, because collectively a full moon is much more a revelation or a truth coming out about something. So in this case, centralized power, Capricorn. And Mars in Leo is the heart of the people, what they feel, their intentions, which are not very peaceful right now, because whatever is going on irritates them really, really badly, and they just reach the end of their tolerance. Uranus in Taurus especially is revolution, it is rebellion, it is everything, emotions, thoughts, sense of logic, reaching its peak. It is almost like an anxious energy, determining, whipping us from within to take action, to do something, to allow the volcano to detonate and explode. And Saturn in the sign of Aquarius, well, it is social structures, it is all the rules, regulation, the old not wanting to crumble. Of course, it wants to protect that which is sacred, as in our human morals and principles, but it also protects, customs and traditions and everything which is rigid, and that is what Uranus strongly opposes. So it is gonna be chaos financially, Uranus in Taurus, economically, socially and politically, and there is gonna be a lot of argument, a lot of battle, ideologies fighting each other. It's gonna be total chaos on social media, and chances are this is when people will start to truly take action, disconnect, delete their profiles, stop supporting that which they perceive as the, symbolically to be understood of course, the tool of the devil. The devil card is Capricorn in tarot, for example. And the dark side of Capricorn is manipulation, control, when someone rules with tyranny, etc. So, people are strongly gonna oppose this, especially because they identify at this time that the tool of the devil is actually social media, TV, news, communication, information, Saturn in Aquarius. Aquarius, the internet, humanity's manifested collective consciousness, data bank. That might be corrupted by centralized power, corrupted in the sense that they're dominating it, they're ruling it, they're controlling it 100%, they're censoring. So this Uranus in Taurus rebels and determines people to choose the quickest way out, which is delete profile and not use it again. And that might affect the economy and finances in very unexpected ways. Of course, individually as well, there is bound to be some kind of chaos, let's say emotional chaos, dissatisfaction, not being able to find a very down-to-earth, rational, logical means to overcome your obstacles, limitations, or get in life where you desperately need to be. So this will cause an inner chaos, but chances are Jupiter goes retro, but Mercury goes direct. Clarity, solutions are gonna pop up in your life. Maybe not necessarily tomorrow, but until Mercury leaves shadow, so in the beginning of July, chances are that a lot of solutions can enter into your life. And the highlight of everything, the cherry on top, is that even things which no longer resonate, Jupiter in Pisces retrograde, even things which you eliminate, even things which don't make sense, and you basically get the clarity of every option, opportunity, potential that is not going to work out in your favor, eliminating those and having the clarity and also conviction inside of you that is the right choice to make. That is already a massive help. And when, someone can eliminate certain options from the to-do list or list of possibilities, plan A, B, C, well, what remains, even if nothing remains, will open up the door for something new, something much more down to earth to enter your life and solve the problem. And another very, very hard, almost cruel energy in the sky is the opposition of Venus and Pluto. Venus is everything that we love, especially in the sign of Cancer. Emotional stability, emotional well-being, happiness, joy, pleasure, blissful moments, feeling loved, feeling supported, artistic self-expression and creativity, the expression of the divine feminine energies. Well, when it opposes Pluto, there are two possibilities. Either something is heavily gonna disappoint us, and that disappoint us, as painful as it may be, it will still be a saving grace in the sense that it will allow us to abandon our own illusions, our own naivety, our own uninspired emotion and heart-based choices. It may also represent a secret coming out, Pluto, something not very positive, something painful where maybe someone betrayed us, someone manipulated us, someone lied to us, someone deceived us emotionally. Or it can also be the simple realization that we no longer love someone, something, or they no longer make us happy, they no longer are part of our emotional worlds, and that will be a secret or a realization that we ourselves will have to communicate, share, open up with. So, this is a very, very delicate energy which will totally upset us emotionally. Yet, Venus receives a trine from Neptune, which means that this will be necessary and this will turn into something really, really positive, even if at the moment it will be painful or very disappointing. Now, another expression of this energy is temptation. Pluto and Venus together in an opposition can represent really, really strong fatal attractions, where it can be our attractions, the fulfillment of our attractions, which get us into trouble or which terminate a situation which offered us emotional comfort in our lives. And even though these planets don't converse with this full moon, the full moon pulls emotions and everything to the surface, so it will be like a spicing. It will be like the chaos, the inner storm just growing stronger and more unsettling. And as a word of advice, well, we already know that tension and feelings, emotions, rebellion, regardless in which area of life, is gonna be at its maximum. So the best choice, the best course of action is to detach from the external drama. And even if we are immersed into our own personal dramas maximally, well, at least it's our drama, it's our responsibility, it is our work and effort to get out of it. And chances are this Jupiter is definitely gonna help us do exactly that. When we have to dissolve a problem, when we have to break a pattern, well, we can only do that if we get immersed into it very, very strongly. And even if there is gonna be a moment when the immersion is gonna feel drowning, it is gonna be uncomfortable, but that is the only way when we can actually turn the intensity of our situation, of the drama that we experience, in order for it to conjure up a breakthrough. It's almost like amplifying our inner gravities, our inner attraction, so that we can finally identify or create or co-create a way out of the drama, a way out of the turmoil. But I repeat, it has to be on life's terms and not necessarily our own. And even if life terms will not be very fair or very advantageous, well, it's still better getting out of the drama and working with what we have than just staying in ideals and illusions, etc. And this energy, as I said earlier, it is perfectly valid spiritually, because in a collective way, this is definitely going to be one of those moments when people will just stop believing fantasies, stop believing in all the quick and miraculous solutions that certain gurus out there are promoting, and they will see the profit in it. As I said earlier in the recording, this is the kind of energy where everything is gonna scream at us, especially spiritually, that one cannot serve the divine and mammon as well at the same time. And those who serve mammon, as in money, profit, marketing, to draw the attention and the false hopes of certain category of people, especially with the so-called awakening, well, the profit in it, the money-making scheme, the money-making basically factory that some people use spiritual principles sugar-coated and twisted and turned into something which seems so positive, so easy, too good to be true. Now that will be seen by a lot of people. So this is where the industry will finally start to crumble, because this full moon is definitely gonna awaken people to reality. What's real, what's not, what is possible and what is not. And most importantly, if there is a divine will, it definitely doesn't want quick and easy solutions, or to make our biggest dreams and aspirations of freedom and joy and bliss come true, but rather it wants to responsibilize us and make us embody true diligence, dignity, honor, duty, spirit of responsibility, to own up to everything that is in our lives, in our world, etc. And that in itself is the reward. There is no any other reward. If we aspire to higher divine planes, or basically state of existence, let's say emotional state, then we have to act like a divine being and not necessarily as a greedy, reward-driven animal. And that's all the reward we get, to be in that state on life's terms, of course. So this concludes today's recording. Thank you so much for listening. I wish everyone a blessed, magical, and fantastic full moon. Until next time, bye for now.